Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here today. Now, today we're working again with the newly released Classic Pooh Hello Baby 4x6 stamp set, and we've got the coordinating die, and I've also got the Classic Pooh Blocks 3D embossed panel that we embossed on yesterday's video. And I'm going to just make a card with this stamp set here, and we're just going to do some stamping, and we're going to do a little bit of coloring, and just put together a really cute, we're going to make another baby girl card. And so we've got that pink panel, and we're just going to bring in some stamps and get it going. What I've decided to use here is this Pooh stamp where he's got the rattle. And then I'm also going to bring in, I guess that's Piglet. And Piglet has got the baby bottle in his hand. And I'm also going to bring in a couple of sentiments. We're going to use It's a Girl and Welcome Baby, I think is what I'm going to use for the sentiments. And I'm looking at the other set because I was thinking about using one of those. And then I just decided to use the, I think it's Hello Baby or Welcome Baby, and It's a Girl. I can't remember, and I just made the card like 10 minutes ago. Anyway, so I'm going to get everything laid down on here, and we will just ink it up. I went ahead and decided to move the sentiments toward the bottom so I could just cut them off. And I wind up not getting them straight on there, but it doesn't matter because we're going to cut them apart anyway. So I'm just going to bring in my Memento black ink, and we'll get it stamped up, and then we're going to heat and emboss, and then we can color. We're going to use our alcohol. I'm going to use my Copic markers, and so Memento black ink is alcohol safe, and so we're going to just ink them up with this, and I'm going to heat emboss them anyway, so we'll get them inked up real good. We'll give them a couple presses, and then we'll be good to go. So today it's actually Friday evening, and I was just watching Craft Roulette and assembling this card. And so if you've never seen Craft Roulette, it's a fun YouTube channel that is live every Friday evening. They start about 10 or 15 after 7, and they'll show the gallery of cards from the previous week, and then they'll have a guest, and they'll roll the wheel and have some new parameters. So I was just watching that and creating this, and then I got done with this, and so now I'm just doing the voiceover, but it's Friday evening, and I'm so glad. I'm glad to be home and in my jammies again, and in my craft room. So here I've just got some detail clear embossing powder, and I'm giving it a double powdering, and I about dropped it and made a mess there. I did put a little bit on my desk. I'm scraping it off, and we'll get it put away, and then we'll get to heat embossing. So I'm just going to wipe that off my desk, and I've got my heat tool, and it's heating up. We're going to grab the tweezers so I don't have to hold it too close and burn my hand. Anyway, we'll get this heated up, and you can just kind of watch it come to life when you add that shine to it. And then I'm just going to bring in, I don't know, I think a couple different colors. We'll use 2 of each and just lay some color down. This is going to be very basic coloring. So I've got my panel and my stuff. I'm going to lay it aside, and we'll just grab some markers. I'm just giving it kind of a fanning to make sure it's good and dry. And I'm just checking my pink out on my card up above there to see if this is a really light one. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to go darker or what. I'm going to start out light, and then I'll add a little darker color to Piglet's little shirt and the nipple. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of kind of a real light teal on the bottle. And then I'll come back in later and add some more color to Piglet. For Pooh, I'm using 2 colors, 2 kind of golden colors, kind of golden yellow colors, and we'll get him colored in. And I have sped this up because it did take me a minute to do some coloring. And so now I'm just using the second color and adding some shading to it. And since I did that with Pooh, I'm going to do it with Piglet too. I was going to just be very simple and kind of lazy tonight. And then when I got to Pooh, I wanted to do the shading, so I'm going to go back in and give Piglet some shading and just add, just 2 tones. I know most really good colors will do 3 and 4 layers, but I'm not. I'm just doing 2. And we're going to get them die cut out. Now this stamp set has the coordinating dies, and I'm going to use those to die cut Pooh and Piglet out. And I'm actually going to get these laid down, and then I'll cut the sentiments off. Since I'm not die cutting the sentiments, I don't want to run them through the die cutting machine and risk getting, any weird presses on them or anything like that. So I will cut them off the bottom before I run this through. And as I was going to put the die on Piglet, I noticed that I had gotten out of the lines in 2 spots. So I'm going to use that colorless blender and just pick up that color. And that'll take care of my coloring boo-boo. And so I am using the mint tape to tape them down. I have been lazy at times and not done that. And sometimes in that Empress, those dies will move. So now that I'm using the Empress, I make sure I do tape it down. With the Spellbinders Platinum 6, I don't get as much movement with that, so I usually can run them through without taping them. But anyway, we've got a cute little Pooh and a cute little Piglet, and we're going to have these images for the front of our card. And I felt like it needed blended more, so I just brought that color in and blended some more. And I've got my little block, ABC's block embossing panel there, and I'm bringing in the ribbon and trim dies. I had die cut the white ones out yesterday on yesterday's video, and then I decided to bring the same color pink that I'm going to layer on the back of the embossed panel, and just layer these up just for a cute little design. And we'll add these. I love these ribbon and trim etched dies. I think they're so fun. And we're just going to add a little collar to our panel with this. So just trying to make sure I got it lined up nice and straight. And then we're going to lay this down on here, and I'm going to cut it before we add it to our base layer. Sometimes I get in a hurry and I'll lay my layer down, and then I'm like, oh, I've got to try and trim this extra piece when it's laid down. So it's better to lay it down first. And I decided, because of the embossed panel, that I would add foam to everything so it would stick really nice. And I've got foam on the back of that base panel, so it's going to have some good dimension. However, this is a card I think that's going to be hand delivered instead of put in the mail. I said yesterday on my card that I made is for a little girl in church that just had a baby girl, and I suspect this might go to her as well, because my sister and my mom will probably be wanting to give cards too, and so this likely will go to her as well. So I'm going to get that laid down on there, and then I'll just snip off that extra that's hanging off there, and you can see I've got that embossed panel already taped up with some foam, and we've got just a couple of cute little elements we're going to add to it. I don't think we need much because I think it's fun to see the blocks behind there, and so I'm going to just put some foam on these characters, and they'll get stuck down really well, and then we'll be able to assemble our card. Such a fun collection. I will link all of it in the description box below so that you can check it out. And if you want to shop those links, it does help support my channel, so I appreciate you clicking on those links. If you're going to buy, you might as well click on, one of your favorite YouTubers' links, because it does help support them. It's not, there's no additional cost to you in any way. It's just we get some affiliate money for working with and promoting their product, and so it is helpful to us. And one of the things it does is it does helps the companies to continue to send us product to work with, because they know that we're showing the product and we are working with it. What I'm doing here is using a top folding card. It's been a long time since I've done that, and I was cutting card bases tonight, and I thought I'm cutting some top folding, and we're going to make this a top folding card, and we're going to do that. So I'm going to be using some top folding more frequently on my channel, just because I've gotten in the habit of doing a side fold, and I think occasionally it's fun to do something different. I used to cut both all the time and have two different types, and I would just kind of go back and forth, but I've kind of been in the habit of just doing side folded cards, and so I've decided I'm going to modify that and do some top foldings. So I have got my 2 sentiments stamped out there, and it's a girl. I'm going to cut straight because it's a real nice block sentiment, so you can just block it off. And then the other sentiment, I can't remember what it says, but I will fussy cut it out. So I paused, and it says, "Welcome, little one." I thought I need to look at it and see what it actually says. I can't remember. So I'm just going to just kind of fussy cut that out. I've got my small Tim Holtz scissors, and they've got kind of a serrated edge on them, so I'm going to grab my big, these are the scissors I use for all my gluey, sticky stuff. And I can fussy cut just fine with these big scissors. I cannot locate, I've said this before on my channel, I cannot locate my fine detail Spellbinders scissors. They've gone missing, and I've not located them, and I'm not sure I will, because I have redone my craft room, and I've had every cabinet out and moved and cleaned every square inch of it, and it's not behind or under a cabinet or anywhere like that, unless it would happen to be tucked away with a stamp and a die set or something like that. I'm wondering if it got carted off or landed in a trash can one time and got thrown out. I don't know. So I'm going to probably have to get me some more detail scissors. Now here I'm taking my white jelly roll pen and cleaning up a little dot that was on there from where I stamped it up. Now I'm adding more glue to this because we've got all that embossed detail and it's not wanting to lay down. So I'm going to get plenty of glue on here and go ahead and glue it directly down on there and just give it a press. And I think it's a cute little card with just some cute little elements. I think it's super fun. So I hope you like it. If you do, consider giving the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, I welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.